All right, Erev Tov Rabbi say. The question came in on the chat with regards to kashering of countertops using steam. So the shaila is, can you use steam to kasher a countertop? And the answer is, sort of.
What is a steam?
Sort of. So the first question to note is, as we've noted for the past week, in order to kasher anything, you need the principle of kabbalah kach polta, the way that it absorbs the flavor is the way that it is going to expel the flavor. And thus the question arises, if a flavor was absorbed through boiling water, can it be removed through steam? And the answer to that question is, says Rav Moshe in English Moshe Chelik Aleph, no. No. If you have something that absorbed flavor through boiling water, then it cannot remove that flavor with steam. Why? Because steam is not as potent as boiling water. And you'll know this from the fact that if you have a hot cup of coffee, you just made a boiling hot cup of coffee. Putting your finger in the coffee would be very painful. Putting your hand through the steam would not be so painful because the steam is not as hot as the coffee. The water is boiling. Boiling water is at 100 degrees Celsius. For those of us that believe in round numbers, the metric system, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever that means. That temperature, which is boiling point, is very hot. It is considerably hotter than Yad Seleris Boy, which is around 70 degrees Celsius. That is the point in time that your hand would recoil from coming in contact with hot liquid. But certainly nobody's going to get scalded from Yad Seleris Boy water, but from boiling hot water you could absolutely get scalded by that water. That would be considerably more painful. And so steam is not sufficient to kasher, to remove the flavor from something that became non-kosher Pesach, that became chametzik, that became not kosher, through a liquid medium of boiling hot water. Now, how exactly did your countertops become chametzik? So that's an interesting question. How did the countertops become chametzik? So one of two possibilities. The countertops became chametzik either because liquid spilt on it, hot liquid, like soup, spilt on it, or the water from the pasta, or whatever it is. That is some boiling hot liquid that spilled on the countertop, so it absorbed through boiling hot liquid. Alternatively, it had absorbed chametz through direct heat, through something that was chametzdik and solid and came straight out of a pot. For example, if you were making pasta and you have a hot piece of pasta that just came out of the pot. So I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but sometimes it happens that you are, serving pasta, straining pasta, it's boiling hot, and it falls on the counter. So that's a double gush. That's a solid item. That's at boiling point or hotter than that. It's landed on the counter and it's absorbed that flavor from a double gush, a solid object. Yeah, Rav Seth, what do you say?
So two questions. First of all, there are certain machines that are commercial in nature. They use superheaters.
Yeah, we'll get to those machines.
Opinions that say you can use steams to clean countertops.
Yeah, so we'll get to those opinions in a second. We'll get to all of that momentarily. So Rav Moshe writes that kashering your countertop using steam, kashering in general using steam, is insufficient. It is insufficient, meaning don't assume that all steam is, even though it is water that has evaporated due to heat, that is not the same thing as mayim roshim. That's not the same thing as boiling hot water. That is point number one to take note of, because the way that the flavor was absorbed was not through steam. It was through boiling hot water or something solid that splashed onto the countertops. So that is point number one. Point number two is, okay, so when can you use steam? Is steam something that is usable? So there are two conditions in order to use a steamer to kasher your countertops. Number one, it needs to be steam that is at boiling point, meaning the water that you are releasing as steam needs to not just be water vapor that is warm. It needs to be boiling point water, like 212 degrees Fahrenheit, hot. That is point number one. But Rav Moshe writes there in Rav Moshe that it needs another condition, which is that it's not just steam that's hitting the countertop. It is pooling boiling hot liquid, which is effectively hagal, meaning the steamer is just another mechanism to get boiling hot water onto your countertop. Meaning you could either do it from a boiling hot pot, from a kettle, from an urn that is, kli rishon, or sprayed with a kli rishon steamer, but the water that is on your countertop is going to be boiling. Meaning you're pulling it out through boiling hot water, not through steam. That's the nakuda here. So you need both boiling point and you need liquid. If you have a steamer that can accomplish both of those functions, absolutely, you can use such a steamer. I think the CRC a number of years ago reached out to a couple of commercial steam people, like the people that make the stuff. There's like one commercially available product, that Tornado something or another machine that they recommended to use. The rest of them didn't get hot enough, or they got hot enough but they evaporated too quickly, meaning the flow of steam wasn't fast enough that it got hot steam out to the point that it landed on your countertop and was still hot liquid. Meaning by the time it hit the countertop, it was cold. So you need both of those things. Now, practically speaking, is it possible to kasher with steam? Yes. Is it practical? Often not. Often not practical to kasher with steam at all. I'll point out, just because it's kedai to know, in commercial applications, they do this a lot. Like commercial kitchens, they'll do, and apparently for like commercial fridges and freezers and those kinds of things, they'll use steam to kasher. And the way that they do this, Roshaf was explaining to this when we were learning here in YU. So like milk trucks, they kasher and sanitize simultaneously using a steam bomb. It sounds labeling, right? What they do is they have a controlled, not so controlled steam explosion, where they have ice that goes through a pressurized, very rapid phase change from solid to gas, and that creates a steam explosion. That's how they sanitize milk trucks. They put a steam bomb in, they close the door, everybody runs, and like the whole thing goes, right? And then you open it up, and all the milk is steamed, right? I mean, that works, because that is certainly hot enough, and what you're doing is you are spraying boiling hot liquid water on all of the surfaces simultaneously. That'll kasher, that'll clean, that'll take care of everything, but not particularly safe, certainly not for home applications. Now, I will share with you Blumenthal's svara, which is a chumrah that is really a kula. My personal opinion is that as much as possible, you should cover your countertops. That's not because I don't believe you can kasher them. You can kasher your countertops, assuming that they are made out of materials that are kasherable, right? And we'll put the list up for all the materials every year. There's new materials. I think somebody was calling me about renovating their house. They wanted to know the difference in halacha between quartz and quartzite. That's, I don't know what, there's different chilukim between these things. Okay. So you have to figure out what, and all of the kashrus agencies, they have lists of what things are kasherable and what things are not kasherable, and what's porous and what's not porous, and there's all sorts of shtick. Just word to the wise in general, that if you are redoing your countertops, check that list before you redo them. One, to check the kasherability of it, and two, because the kasherable things are probably better quality and less porous. You'll end up with less stains on your countertop because it's less porous, and even if it is much easier to remove the stains that are there. If you get something that is not kasherable, it's going to be a problem for a long time. So check those lists. Why do I suggest covering the countertops? One, because I'm nervous in general that people don't kasher countertops well. Why do people not kasher the countertops well? Because everybody's nervous about destroying their cabinetry under the counters. So when you pour the boiling hot water, it's going to drip down, and then somebody's going to yell at you that, what are you doing? Now there's hot water, now you're running the wood, and okay. So that's problem number one. I'll get this to the question in 1 second. Problem number two is that I'm also not convinced that everybody is getting to all of the areas that you need to get to, the corners, all the rest of it, and sometimes people get a little bit lenient as they are pouring. Point number three is that I am strongly of the opinion that while it's true that you can kasher everything, I think it's a good idea for your kitchen to look different on Pesach. I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea for chinuch, and it's a good idea for kashrus. That when you walk into a Pesach-looking kitchen, even if it's not, strictly speaking, necessary to have all of the components covered, etc., the more that your kitchen looks kasher LePesach, the less likelihood that somebody's going to bring chametz into it accidentally, because it's a dead giveaway that the kitchen is now kasher LePesach. Less problems occur. What's the best way to cover your countertops? So this is Blumenthal's life hack. I think it's a good idea. It is cheap, it's easy, and it's reusable year to year. Go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get yourself a roll of linoleum flooring. That's the best thing to use. You take it home, you roll it out across the counter, you get an X-Acto knife, you cut it along the corner, whatever the case is. You take a little bit of painter's tape, you tape it down, and within 10 seconds, year to year to year to year to year, your kitchen is kosher. You clean the countertops, that's fine, that's good. I stickle kasher them just in case, but practically speaking, we cover the countertops. We've every home we've been in for the last 15 years, we get a roll of it, whatever it is, $60. You go to Home Depot, you get the thing, you cut out the thing. You can even put it over your sink area, cut the holes for the faucets. It's easy, it's cheap, and then nobody has to be worried about putting hot things on it and cold things on it and cutting on it. Nobody cares. I mean, and it looks pasted. It's a good idea. It's a good life hack. It makes your Pesach kashering and cleaning much quicker, as opposed to the hour and a half that you're going to spend wondering, did I kasher or did I not kasher? Covering everything with something that you've measured out and used year to year is the easiest solution to your covering and kashering concerns. Yeah.
Just as became aware, there are these little not urns, there are these things you hit a button, it gets hot, the whole thing gets hot in about 30 seconds. It's a hot water thing.
Yeah.
So the guy that goes around koshering, he has like 20 of them.
Yeah.
And you can control the pour, so if you are koshering, it becomes much easier.
Much easier, right.
And it's a clean rishon. So
yes.
It's very easy to kosher even in the hard time.
Yeah, those things are basically like the instant hot thing that you have.
And they're cheap as could be.
Yeah.
They're like $15.
The Insta Hot thing, that's the easiest thing to, just use it, pour it. I will tell you, if you're using an urn, this is just kedai to know, if you are using an urn to kasher, I mean, at least to kasher your sink, you have to kasher the stainless steel sink. If you're using an urn to kasher the stainless steel sink, this is a good life hack for kashering. Before you pour any boiling water out of it, the smartest thing to do is you take the faucet thing from the sink. While the water is boiling in your urn, you take off the top of the urn, you dunk it in. That way you've kashered that thing, because that's annoying to pour things over. Right? So you just take the whole thing, you dunk it, and then you've kashered it, because now it's kasher. So that makes your life a lot easier. It's just any knobs or things that you want to kasher, just toss it into the urn. It makes everything much easier. And then you dump out the urn with all the boiling water into your sink, and then you kasher the sink like that. That makes your life a lot simpler. L'maisa, halacha l'maisa. Can you kasher using a steamer? Theoretically, yes. Practically, no. Not wise and not recommended. Again, if you have an industrial steamer and you know what you're doing, and your wife is not going to kill you for steaming the countertops at an industrial heat pressure spray situation, go for it. But go to Home Depot, spend $60, get yourself a roll of things to cover and painter's tape, and everybody will be much happier. You'll destroy nothing, and everything will be kasher l'Pesach.